Forced Russia's president to postpone a referendum which was expected to extend his time in office. Vladimir Putin has urged Russians to stay at home and promised economic assistance, despite a lack of other warnings. So far, 2 people have died of the virus, but doctors think other deaths are being covered up. Step Vasson reports from Moscow.
Churchgoers kiss religious icons, one after the other, as if there is no COVID-19 pandemic. While the Russian Orthodox Church has put some measures in place to improve hygiene, these religious rituals continue to be performed because many here are convinced they won't get infected. While in recent weeks the government maintained that Russia has no serious corona outbreak, recent figures are showing a different trend. President Putin held meetings with experts who told him there are far more than the 658 officially reported cases. In a nationwide address, he told Russians they can't go to work next week and that the safest thing is to stay at home.
I'm addressing all citizens of the country. Let's not rely on our Russian habit to think that it won't happen to us. This can happen to each one of us. The thing which is now happening in many Western countries, both in Europe and overseas, might be our near future too.
Putin did not mention that Russians should adhere to social distancing, and so far churches and shops will remain open.
Russia is praising itself for doing a better job at containing the virus compared to other countries. The government says that everything is under control. But people are increasingly getting worried because there's a lack of information and people distrust the official figures. And the fact that hospitals like this one are quickly being built to cope with an influx of patients tells them a different story.
Thousands of workers have been brought to this construction site outside Moscow. The large infectious diseases hospital should be up and running by mid-April and aims to treat up to 500 patients. Other hospitals have been converted into pneumonia hospitals, a sign that the government might be planning to treat the coronavirus as pneumonia.
In our hospital, 240 beds for pneumonia patients were opened without employing related medical personnel. Doctors of other specialties are being forced to work with these patients but don't have enough expertise. This could lead to a higher death rate.
A local organization called Doctors Alliance accuses the government of trying to cover up the coronavirus outbreak here. After a 79-year-old woman died after being tested for COVID-19, the official reason given for her death was thrombosis.
Statistics collected from many cities show us that the number of pneumonia cases have increased and that there are certain bans and orders. For example, doctors are not allowed to make post-mortem diagnoses of pneumonia. I heard it from many doctors. Of course, no one will speak out openly about it. They are all scared. I'm not scared.
Increasingly empty streets in Moscow, the largest European city, show that concerns are growing. The government has closed its borders for foreigners and ordered people older than 65 to stay home. Some are worried that if Russia is faced with a large outbreak, the country won't be able to cope. Hospitals have been closed and many doctors were laid off in recent years. Even large hospitals like this one would then be too little, too late. Step Vasson, Al Jazeera, Moscow.
New Zealand has gone into an unprecedented lockdown for about a month. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern declared a state of emergency and ordered all non-essential services, schools and offices to close. She's urging people to stay home, saying it will break the chain of transmission and save lives. More than 1 billion people are under government-imposed lockdowns worldwide, but the World Health Organization says that's not enough to stop transmission and urged countries to use the time wisely.
Asking people to stay at home and shutting down population movement is buying time and reducing the pressure on health systems. But on their own, these measures will not extinguish epidemics. The point of these actions is to enable the more precise and targeted measures that are needed to stop transmission